What's up, guys? So today I got my 23andMe and my WeGene DNA test results in. It was an amazing experience, a lot of insight that I earned from using these. And today I'm just going to share a little bit about my results as well as my interpretation of the results. I know there's not a lot of, usage from Asian populations, especially from from like Chinese people, because I am Chinese. I'm Chinese American, and so I was very interested to see what would show up because growing up, my parents didn't really say much other than we're Chinese, and which is true. But I did find out some new things, was very interesting, and I'm gonna go into that further into the video. But just let me know if you guys have any questions. Just post it in the comments or something. I'll try and help you out. So yeah, let's take a look at the data. Alright, guys, so right here we have 23andMe, and I'm just gonna quickly go over my results and sort of the features that they have in case you haven't actually taken the test yet. So when you do get the results, you can scroll down to find your chromosomal painting, and this just breaks down what you are ethnically. And honestly, I wasn't too surprised about my like ethnic heritage and the populations that would come up, but I was a little bit surprised at the fact that they couldn't identify 13.5% of um, my chromosomes. And so 86.5% Chinese definitely makes sense. I mean, I am that. And then, so basically for broadly, that means that they assign the DNA to be broadly to like a region rather than a specific population. Um, and it was a little bit puzzling because 13.5% is quite a substantial amount, especially compared to whenever I see other people's, results, they only maybe get like 2, 3, or 4%. And so this is something that I solved later on with this service WeGene, but for now I'm just going to focus on 23andMe. And so I took the physical DNA extraction with 23andMe, and I think that's the way to go if you are. I am speaking from an Asian perspective. Um, and that's just because out of all the other ones like MyHeritage DNA, Ancestry DNA, it's still going to give you a better breakdown for Asians. Um, so yeah, and then some really neat features that 23andMe has include DNA relatives. So if we take a look at this, um, it matches you with relatives, and it was really cool because I was able to find a third cousin. And if it loads, yeah. So if you scroll down, it shows you the sort of lineage in this like most common ancestor. And so yeah, and so what I did notice is that typically you're gonna have maybe anywhere from 20 to 50 third or fourth cousins, and then maybe in the hundreds you'll have fourth to sixth cousins. And so you can also order it in like all these different things, criteria. uh, you can see your ancestor birthplaces, or like your cousins where their birthplaces are. And so there's China, obviously, the Philippines, which I am going to probably assume that because of Chinese migration, and the US as well, and just a lot of other Asian countries, which is really neat. If you do choose to do get the health plan, you get all this stuff about, health risk, wellness, and stuff like that. I didn't do that for the reason that I'm going to mention later. Once again, I keep on referring to WeGene, but WeGene really did like make this experience a lot more comprehensive, and I'll go into that soon. But yeah, so another cool feature is whenever you go to Ancestry, you can look at the maternal and the paternal. And so this is my maternal, and it's M11B. And so this is from my mom's side, and it's pretty cool because you can track the historical migration. It has a lot of like information. And so it's that M11B is rare among 23andMe customers. So 1 in 22,000 23andMe customers share this haplogroup assignment. And that was pretty neat. I also see that the highest diversity of M haplogroups is found in India. And so
One thing that I discovered about these sort of genetic testing services is that you shouldn't really rely on one particular piece of information and take that and run as like a top down comprehensive view. I feel like you should just use these to piece these things together. And I am once again going to go over that, what I mean by that, um, whenever we segue into the WeGene part. But yeah, looking at the paternal haplogroup, this is from my dad's side, and so this was more common, 1 in 360, and so it's funny because I always heard the whole like quoted fact about how like 8% of all Asians descend from Genghis Khan, and well, it apparently is confirmed by this. Well, not technically because I don't think I'm directly descended, quote unquote. It's more of like we share a common ancestor. But so this is a very common haplogroup that a lot of Asians have, and so I happen to have that from my dad. Um, so that was really neat. I think these two features are really neat about 23andMe. So yeah, I was really happy with my experience. Only thing that I was a little bit bummed out about was the fact that they couldn't place 13.5%, which is quite a substantial amount. But this isn't really their fault per se. It's just the fact that they don't have a lot of tested Asian populations in their database. And so this is a good segue into the next software that I did. And I highly recommend, I actually think that if you are Asian, you should do this. And that's make use of WeGene. So we have WeGene here, and you can download. So if you go down here to browse raw data, you can basically download your kit and then go to WeGene and then import it. And so what's interesting is um, whenever you have this. Yeah, sorry about that. So there's an English version, but I didn't realize that because I've been using it and it's a lot more like simplified. And but I realized that the Chinese version, because it is a Chinese provider, if you just right click and do translate to English, it does all of that. And so there's a lot more features because this is just a very bare bones thing. I don't think they have like, I don't know, maybe like software developers really paying attention to the English version. So we'll just look at the actual one. And so, I'm so sorry guys, I have to log in once again. Oh, well, it logged in automatically. So, but if you go to My Genes, it's the WeGene was really like it blew my mind at how much information they had because there's definitely the ancestral analysis, and so this was interesting. This is where I really started discovering things. Um, so right here we have so yeah, so this is what I mean by you should sort of use these services to piece things together because I didn't earlier I mentioned I didn't understand the 13.5%, and then it turns out that this would be a rough like estimate that sort of makes sense because I am so 50.85% Southern Han, 31% Northern Han. I got 8.57% Nashi or Dai, which is very interesting because that's from my research that those are two ethnic groups that sort of straddle along the whole Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia border with China, and they're minority groups, and as well as the Miao and the Yao, which are also minority groups. And yeah, so I thought that was really neat. Um, it's also sort of makes sense because that's this region right here in the south is where my parents are from. And so yeah, and then if you keep on going down, you have Korean, Japanese, and that's I don't know. I'd assume that's probably from my dad because of the whole Genghis Khan haplogroup. And then as we go down, this surprised me a lot in the 1% Indian or like 0.98% Indian, which if you go back, so I'm thinking maybe that's why that came up. Who knows? So yeah, and then if you really go into um, their other features. I mentioned earlier not to, or if you're gonna do Weijing anyways, especially if you're Asian, not to really get the health. package with 23andMe because it gives you all of it within WeGene. And so, yes, a lot of the translation won't be, precise, but you sort of get the big picture, I guess, and just some really neat things. It's definitely at your discretion whether or not you want to find out about like hereditary diseases, but I thought it was just very interesting. And yeah, other than that, I have also been looking at GEDmatch, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to work with that. I mean, I do know that I have uploaded my kit, and then you just sort of mess around with the whole different um, tests and stuff. But I might just make another video for that, and then so I can actually get a feel for what's going on in that. But please, guys, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message or just comment, and I'd be gladly to help. Once again, I feel like the purpose of this video wasn't so much for me to find insight on what I was ethnically, but just sort of provide like an experience, or just talk about my experiences with um, 23andMe and WeGene as an Asian. So yeah, other than that, I'll see you guys soon.